Hey BookTube, it's Peg. I am back at the History Shelf. Today I'm doing a spotlight focus on InterVarsity Press. I plan on making new videos like this where I focus on a particular publisher and highlighting many of the books that I've gotten or that are new or just maybe even backlist favorites. I just had that idea the other day because I recently just ordered several books from InterVarsity Press, which is one of my favorite presses, publishing houses, that they put out more of a Christian study of Christianity books, theology, commentaries, Christian living, which I don't really read so much as I really like to dig into the theology, the commentaries, church history, things of that nature. They are a fantastic publishing house. I really, really love their IVP academic imprint. I bought some books that they recently had on a summer sale because they were super cheap. And then I've received several books from IVP for review. They've been kind enough to send to me. And I wanted to highlight those as well. So I thought I would make this video all about InterVarsity Press. And look for it in the coming days where, days and months where I might have a special, spotlight on, video for a certain publisher. And and let me know if you have any questions or requests. If there's a certain publishing house that you enjoy, let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I have for them, and we can dive in and explore the books together. But having said that, let me get into some of the books I recently hauled from IVP. This is a fun little series. They're little snapshots. They don't take long to read, and I already have 2 of them. But the new book I got is A Week in the Fall of Jerusalem by Ben Witherington III. And Ben Witherington III, I have several of his books. He is a very well-known and renowned biblical scholar and theologian. He's written some massive books. I have a few of them upstairs that I need to show you. But this is not even the latest book in the series. I think there's a new one that is coming out in the next couple of weeks, and it looks about like life, a week in the life of maybe as a Jewish woman or something like that. But it takes it from a female perspective. What these books do, they give you a narrative. It's fictionalized, but mixed in with some history that are broken out in little call-out boxes. But it kind of puts you in the shoes of someone, you hear something on tax collecting in Jesus's world. But it'll begin with a person. In this case, it's in the fall of Jerusalem, but he'll find a personality to focus on. Like in this book, it begins with Joanna. Joanna awoke suddenly to the sound of a shofar blowing, its long, piercing call cleaving the cool morning air. It was barely cock-crow. The sun had not yet penetrated the cracks of the windowless house. And then, then I'll give you a description of what the shofar is, So he tells a story and he mixes in the history, which is great. And they're it's 150 pages. So the other books that I have in this series, the first one that came out, I believe, was A Week in the Life of Corinth, also by Ben Witherington III. So gives you a look at Corinth, does the same type of thing, picks out a person to follow through, and then they'll give you a closer look at gladiators, their contests. It's got some photos in there. It's just an interesting way to impart history and church history, or early Christianity. And then the other one I have is by another author, but it's A Week in the Life of a Roman Centurion by Gary M. Burge. and then you see everything from a Roman centurion's viewpoint. Yeah, I think I was starting with this one because I have a bookmark in this one. Gives you a list of characters. Like I'll read you the quick synopsis of enter a world of warfare and treachery, duty and honor, love and loyalty, interwoven with the inner workings of a Roman centurion's household. Then follow the story as the road curves toward Little Capernaum. A Week in the Life of a Roman Centurion gives us an empire's eye view of the world of the Gospels. In entertaining historical fiction, splashed with informative sidebars and images, we capture a view of Jesus' world from the outer framework looking in. So that would be the Roman Centurion. Whereas A Week in the Life of Corinth is a story of the social and cultural context of Paul's ministry. And then The Week in the Fall of Jerusalem is the very dramatic story of AD 70, when Jerusalem falls to the Romans and the temple is destroyed. So I have all three now, and there is a fourth one coming out soon. But when I saw the Jerusalem book, I was like, and it was on sale, I said, yes, I'll take it. So this other book, I've never heard of it, but this description was interesting. It's a slim little volume, and every now and then I like reading ethics, especially in a Christian framework. And this is part of a Contours of Christian Philosophy series. And this is Ethics, 2nd edition, Approaching Moral Decisions by Arthur F. Holmes. So in the 2nd edition, so obviously it's been widely received, but with over 60,000 copies in print since its original publication in 1984, Ethics has served numerous generations of students as a classic introduction to philosophical ethics from a Christian perspective. Over the years, the philosophical landscape has changed somewhat, and in this new edition, Arthur Holmes adjusts the argument and information throughout, completely rewriting the earlier chapter on virtue ethics and adding a new chapter on the moral agent. The book addresses the questions: what is good? What is right? How can we know? In doing so, it also surveys a variety of approaches to ethics, including cultural relativism, emotivism, ethical egoism, and utilitarianism, all with an acknowledgement of the new postmodern environment. So, about 145 pages, and looked good, looked juicy, looked like an intellectual feast, as it were. All right, so this next book, also very exciting. It's written by a writer that like a Christian historian that I have read before and enjoy, and I brought two of his other books down so I can show you. But this is another slim little volume, and this is the Mestizo Augustine by Justo L. Gonzalez, a theologian between, the Mestizo Augustine, a theologian between two cultures by Justo Gonzalez. Few thinkers have been as influential as Augustine of Hippo, or Augustine, whatever your druthers are. His writings, such as Confessions and City of God, have left an indelible mark on Western Christianity. He has become so synonymous with Christianity in the West that we easily forget he was a man of two cultures, African and Greco-Roman. Augustine experienced what Latino atheology calls mestizaje. Mestiza. I can't pronounce that, which means being of a mixed background. Cuban-American historian and theologian Justo Gonzalez looks at the life and legacy of Augustine from the perspective of his own Latino heritage and finds in the Bishop of Hippo a remarkable resource for the church today. So I thought that was fascinating, and maybe many of you are familiar with Gonzalez, but he has written he wrote a 3-volume history of Christian thought, which I think is, I tried collecting that one at one time, and now this reminds me to try to get back on top of that. But also a 2-volume, The Story of Christianity, which in the past I was able to find. These are used and they're really banged up, but I just loved the old look to these books. I didn't want the newer versions. So I bought these online used. Look at this great old version here. Look at that, you know. I know it's a little beat up, but this is The Story of Christianity, Volume 1, The Early Church to the Dawn of the Reformation. Yeah, it's a little beat up, and it is, luckily no highlighting, but, oh, it's got that old smell in it, you know. Sorry. I always have to do that. I just love these old covers. So this was volume 1. And then I have volume 2, which is red. But I just love the look of these. Yeah, they're beat up. Look at that. Oh, beat up all the heck. But I don't care. To me, they're lovely. Isn't that weird? So how some are just... So, this one was all highlighted, though. It was like, oh, poop. You know, it's all right, but you know, you get to read someone else's comments in the margins. Someone just and they even got red. Got the red. You know, I might get another version of Volume 2 if I could find it. Volume 1 was pristine as far as an old used book goes, but this person highlighted every other word. I don't understand. I think some of the notations are interesting, though. Perversity of Philip II. More fluctuation. You know what? For the price, it's interesting. Look at this guy. He even wrote a whole synopsis on Charles V. Right here. Where is it? Right here. Oh my God. I forgot how marked up this thing was. But it's interesting. Wow, this person must have been like maybe someone was doing a dissertation or something. Look at these notes. It's worth it just for that. But I probably will get another version of Volume 2. That's a little cleaner. But anyway, I wanted to show you that he has made these 2 major works, and then he's got the history of Christian thought. 3 volumes, which I still would like to add to my library. But I thought this would be an interesting little study on Augustine. That kind of really opens up the understanding of the man and how it could apply to, you know, understanding and broadening the sense of the church today. Okay, and then I was so excited to see that this was on the sale list. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Ozguinness, but I love his books. He is a very thoughtful, soulful writer on just Christianity as far as from an intellectual standpoint and how it applies to today in terms of our culture. You know, he's a very deep Christian thinker, and I've all enjoyed his work. I brought down another of his books just to show you, but this was his most recent book. I think he's got another new one coming out, but this is Ozguinness, Impossible People, Christian Courage and the Struggle for the Soul of Civilization. It's a little volume here, but this came out 2000. Oh, he should have a new one out by now, I think. This was 2016. I guess I was waiting for the price to drop. Finally, it did. This is his take on the church in the situation that it's in today, in the last few years, but still it remains relevant. He's written a lot of different books. He wrote Renaissance, which I have in paperback, but that's in storage. I've read that one. His most recent book before this one was Fool's Talk, Recovering the Art of Christian Persuasion. So that's another IVP book. I will, you know, if you guys are interested in Ozguinness, just let me know. I mean, I could, you know, in the comment section, I could, or, you know, respond to you and give you links to some really good talks he's given. Tons of stuff out on YouTube that you could listen to and watch, and I think you'll see he's a very soft-spoken and soulful, kind, and gentle mind that is also very razor sharp. And I really appreciate that. So let me just give you a quick synopsis of this book. Uh, the church in the West is at a critical moment. While the gospel is hold please, Waterloo sparkling watermelon seltzer. It's delicious. While the gospel is exploding throughout the global South, Western civilization faces militant assaults from aggressive secularism and radical Islam. Will the church resist the seductive shaping power of advanced modernity? So this is already 4 years old, I guess. We don't really hear much about radical Islam anymore, but more than ever, Christians must resist the negative cultural forces of our day with fortitude and winsomeness. Well, isn't that a lovely word? What is needed is followers of Christ who are willing to face reality without flinching and respond with a faithfulness that is unwavering. Ozguinness describes these Christians as, quote, impossible people, unquote. Those with, quote, hearts that can melt with compassion, but with faces like flint and backbones of steel, who are unmanipulable, unbribable, undeterrable, and unclubbable, without ever losing the gentleness, the mercy, the grace, and the compassion of our Lord, end quote. Few accounts of the challenge of today are more realistic, and few calls to Christian courage are more timely, resolute, and hopeful. Guinness argues that we must engage secularism and atheism in new ways, confronting the competing ideas with discernment and fresh articulation of the faith. Christians are called to be impossible people, serving an impossible God. So, it sounds really like a great read, and again, I enjoy his work. I'm a Christian, you know, what am I going to say? I'm not making any apologies for that. I mean, no one else has to apologize for being atheist or secularist or another religion, so I'm not apologizing for being a Christian. These are some of the books that I enjoy. InterVarsity Press is a great publisher for that. And so I thought I would end on a high note, well, they're all great books, but like a really woo, rock star note. This book, actually, I think I paid full price for this one. It's too new to be on the sale rack, so but I saw it and I had to have it because I collect his writings, and you know I've talked about him before, Mr. N.T. Wright, also known as Tom by his friends, but N.T. Wright, and this is Exile, a conversation with N.T. Wright, edited by James M. Scott. This was just printed, or it just came out? Well, I don't know. Well, they're highlighting it, so I think I got it for a song. Maybe I did. I don't have the receipt, you guys. Anyway, looks like it came out 2017. So I could be confusing this with something else. But anyway, you guys know I collect his works, and I do read him, and I take some of his online courses through Udemy, 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 however you want to pronounce that. And I enjoy his courses. I'm reading the New Testament in that big massive book that I showed you in one of my last videos. I'm currently reading that one. But he's written biography on Paul. He's a theologian of the highest rank, and a lot of people enjoy reading his work, whether they are Christian or not. He's very scholarly, and he writes with a certain flair, which is, it's very sophisticated, but I love it. Anyway, so I saw this book and I was like, I don't have it, and I'm going to add this to my N.T. Wright collection. I'll give you a brief synopsis here. This important volume engages a variety of scholars in conversation with N.T. Wright's thesis about Israel's continuing exile. As a backdrop for understanding Jesus and Paul, Wright famously maintains that many Second Temple Jews believed that the dark night of the exile continued on despite the return of many Jews to the land. Now was the time of a paradoxical exile in the land, under Roman rule, while still awaiting the return of Yahweh to Zion. It was this crisis of exile that reached its climax and resolution in the person and work of Jesus Christ. In his introduction to the book, James M. Scott, who himself has made significant contributions to the debate, sets the scene. Then in a I don't know why I'm having a hard time talking today, guys. Then in a programmatic essay, Wright clearly restates his thesis. There follow 11 essays from scholars such as Walter Brueggemann, Robert Hibert, Jorn Kiefer, Philip Alexander, Robert Kugler, Dorothy Peters, Scott McKnight, S.A. Cummins, and Timo Eskola. They interact with Wright's thesis from various perspectives: Hebrew Bible, Septuagint, early Judaism, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the New Testament. Then two theologians, Hans Boersma and Ephraim Radner, engage Wright's thesis from Christian theological perspectives. Finally, Wright offers a lively response to his interlocutors. It's a great word, I just haven't seen it in a while. So this will be a fun book. It's like a discussion, going back and forth. I love it. It's all about exile, baby. And it is a conversation. So, so these are the books I bought. I'm not even done yet. So then I have 3 more books that I requested to take a look at, to review. And one of them is an Ozguinness book, but it's a reprint, I believe. This is called it's from the IVP Signature Collection. And I didn't know he had written this book, and I was so excited to see that it was reprinted. It was first written in 1973. So yeah, this is brand new. Signature edition. And this is Ozguinness's The Dust of Death. The 60s counterculture and how it changed America forever. So I've got quite a few Ozguinness books going on here and to complete my collection. This sounded really interesting. In 1968, Ozguinness visited the United States for the first time. There he was struck by a growing disillusionment and loss of meaning. Quote, underneath the efforts of a generation, he wrote, lay dust. Even more troubling, Christians seemed ill-equipped to respond. Guinness took on these concerns by writing his first book, The Dust of Death. I didn't know that was his first book. In this milestone work, leading social critic Guinness provides a far-sighted analysis of one of the most pivotal decades in Western history, the 1960s. He examines 20th century developments of secular humanism, the technological society, and the counterculture. As all of these options have failed to deliver on their promises, Guinness argues Westerners desperately need another alternative, a third way, which can be found only in the rediscovery of the historic Christian faith. First published in 1973, The Dust of Death is now back in print as part of the IVP Signature Collection, featuring a new preface by the author. So this looks really, really good. Probably controversial for some, but you read arguments and you don't take them personally, and you agree or disagree. Seems pretty simple. It's wild. I find that some of the videos I do where I mention Christianity or books on my faith or whatever, I get thumbs downs, which is it's fine. People are gonna give you a dislike, and that's fine. But I always find it's a video where I mention books like this. So bring it on. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But I don't hide things from you guys. I want to show you what I'm reading. The other book I looked really interesting because I love reading about different worldviews and religions. Religion is just endlessly fascinating to me, just all religions and worldviews, which do not adhere to any type of deity. But this book is called The Universe Next Door, 6th edition, a basic worldview catalog by James W. Sire. I'll give you a little synopsis on this one. For more than 40 years, The Universe Next Door has set the standard for a clear, readable introduction to worldviews. Using his widely influential model of 8 basic worldview questions, James Sire examines prominent worldviews that have shaped the Western world. And then he lists them all, he bullets them out. So you can see theism, deism, naturalism, Marxism, nihilism, existentialism, Eastern monism, New Age philosophy, postmodernism, and Islam. Critiquing each worldview within its own frame of reference and in comparison to others, Sire encourages readers to wrestle with life's biggest questions and examine the core beliefs and commitments on which they are building their lives. So, it looks pretty interesting. Eastern pantheistic monism. That's one I'm not really familiar with, so that should be an interesting read right there. Looks like it should be really good. Good stuff. Lots of philosophy. Okay, final book. It's a slim volume, but I thought it was relatively timely, even though it came out in 2018. I would like to review it on this channel. See if you guys are open to that. I just think it's really relevant in today's world. This is Reconstructing the Gospel: Finding Freedom from Slaveholder Religion by Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove. So let me just give you a description on this one. Oops, that's the microphone. Jonathan Wilson Hartgrove grew up in the American South as a faithful church-going Christian, but he gradually came to realize that the gospel his Christianity proclaimed was not good news for everybody. Instead, it was the religion of the slaveholder. Just as Reconstruction after the Civil War worked to repair a broken society, our compromised Christianity requires a spiritual reconstruction that undoes the injustices of the past to reclaim the Christianity of Christ. Indeed. Indeed, that was me saying that, not the book. Okay. Wilson Hartgrove recovers the subversiveness of the gospel that sustained the church through centuries of slavery and oppression. Discover how Jesus continues to save us from ourselves and each other. So that just sounded right. It sounded like I need to read this because, amen. Amen, brother. Would you guys like me to review this for this channel? Let me know if this sounds good to you. It really spoke to my heart. And these are important types of books. So, those are my IVP books, guys, at InterVarsity Press. Again, you don't have to be a Christian to enjoy some of their books. You just need to enjoy in-depth, scholarship, history, philosophy, ethics. I mean, they got good stuff. And if you enjoy learning about other religions and you're wanting to fill in some gaps in your knowledge of Christian history or theology, IVP is a great place to go. So I will link their website below in the notes. Let me know what you think of any of these books. Got ethics. We've got a little bit of historical fiction that takes you into the shoes of people living in that time. Highly recommend you guys check out Justo Gonzalez, Story of Christianity. Ozguinness. We've got an N.T. Wright. We've got good stuff here. So thanks again to InterVarsity Press for these wonderful books. I will be reviewing more in the future. I would like to know, though, this is a question for all of my peeps out there. Does this book sound good to you? Would you like me to kind of break it down for you and tell you what it says, what's going on with that? Because it just seems very timely right now with everything going on in the world and in our country specifically. Just rethinking our history, our past, especially the Civil War, what it meant, Reconstruction, civil rights, Black Lives Matter, all that kind of stuff we got going on, important things. How does the gospel fit into that as far as, well, it doesn't fit into anything. I think the gospel is its own thing, and we fit into that. That's my take. But, again, it really spoke to me. He's talking about a compromised, we have a broken society, and our compromised Christianity requires a spiritual reconstruction that undoes the injustices of the past to reclaim the Christianity of Christ. That is paramount to me. That is so important to me. Get back to the Christianity of Christ. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed my spotlight, my focus on InterVarsity Press. Let me know if you would like to see more of these types of videos. I'd like to do some more publishers in the future. In the meantime, I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll stop there and see you soon. Take care, BookTube. Bye.